Well, what a first half of misfortune, and that's not trying to pass the blame on anyone else but Iowa. We can talk about the officials. This is going to be about a 9 to 10 minute check-in here during halftime. I figured I'd jump on because really bizarre first half. And, you've been watching the game just like I have. Of course, the CBS national audience, great exposure for Iowa. Great to see them on the national stage. It's a rainy day out in Happy Valley. We expected that. But let's just run through what we've seen so far in this first half. Of course, as you can see on the screen, Penn State leading Iowa 10-0 at halftime. Iowa, actually a solid start. You could not have asked for a better, first 2.5 drives of the game. Iowa picks up a first down, which was big on the opening drive of the game. They pick up a first down via Eric All, a Cade McNamara to Eric All connection. Iowa then has to punt. They get a beautiful punt down inside the 5, nearly forced a safety. Wouldn't that have been great? Instead, they force a punt back out of the end zone. Iowa is playing their brand of football at that point, controlling the field, winning the game of field position. Iowa then drives the ball down into the red zone. They pick up a first down via a nice little call by Brian Ferentz, a tunnel screen. Well, I don't even know if you'd call it a tunnel screen, if that's Don Patterson, what you consider that. But a nice little flip to Eric All. He goes up the middle, and I'm yelling the whole time. I don't know about everybody else. I'm yelling the whole time on each of those first 2 possessions. When you're getting hit, wrap that ball up, because the rain started falling there late in the first quarter. You knew it was going to. The ball was going to be slippery. Ball security had to have been emphasized more than almost anything else all week. What happens? He gets hit as he's picking up the first down. Eric All gets hit, and the ball comes out. Iowa coughs it up. They come away with 0. Penn State drives the field. They killed themselves with some penalties, but they end up getting a field goal themselves. So it's 3-0 Penn State. Huge swing if you think about it. It's either a 6-point swing right there or potentially a 10-point swing. And then we begin the unbelievable stretch of time in which, for some reason, the Zebras decided that they wanted this game to end a lot earlier than Iowa fans did. And I'm not here to blame the officials. Like I said, Iowa killed themselves with penalties. All right. But mostly the fumble. The fumble was the biggest thing. The special teams blunder by Iowa. We've seen this happen before. I flash back to 2018, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Kinnick. Do you remember that game? Kyle Groneweg was the punt returner in that game, and I don't know whose fault it was, if it was Kyle Groneweg or if it was Sean Byer, but those 2 guys were involved in a similar situation to what we saw with Cooper DeJean and Brendan Diaz-Fernandez. In this case, you see Cooper DeJean's yelling out, Peter, or poison, whatever the call is for Iowa's special teams unit. And instead of getting out of the way, and that punt goes to the right, which, again, I don't know if – I don't know. I'd love to ask LeVar Woods the question, how quickly – do you react when you hear Peter? I'm assuming it's an immediate thing. If you hear that, you get out of the way, right? Anybody who's in the field of play gets out of the way, but I don't know that. That'd be a better question for Coach Patterson or Coach Woods. But instead, the ball creams off of Brendan Diaz-Fernandez back right into a Penn State player's arms, and there's the second big blunder of the game. So you have the fumble, then you have the fumble. It really was a fumble, right? Loose ball off of Brendan Diaz-Fernandez on that punt. Okay. Then you have an absolute crap call. I think I missed a call. Did I miss a call in here? I missed one. There's a crap spot on a Penn State 4th down, right? 4th and 1. They go sneak. To me, the spot was short. The original spot was short, where the official came in with his hand up, was short. You can see on replay that Aller is short. His helmet crossed the plane, but instead somehow they moved the ball up where I knew as soon as they put the ball down, that's a first down based on where they spotted the actual physical ball. Then you have the fumble. How about the fumble that was blown dead? That's a judgment call. That's close, but man, Iowa had scooped that up. Logan Lee was running the opposite direction, but instead of letting it play out like they should have, they blow it dead. And If they call, I don't know if they called forward progress. I'm assuming they did because he was not down by contact. But instead, ball comes back, no fumble, no recovery. Penn State ends up scoring on a touchdown on a fourth down. By the way, Penn State went 4 of 4 on fourth down that possession. Garbage. Officials have been garbage. Iowa mistakes have killed themselves. And Iowa's defense, the one big mistake Iowa's defense has made, folks, critical downs. They have not been able to get off the field on some of these big critical downs. They should have gotten off the field, I think, on that 4th and 1. What do? They're not going to review that. I don't blame Kirk Ferentz for not throwing the challenge flag. They're not going to overturn that. When you got a pile of 1 million people there at the line of scrimmage, they're not going to overturn that, even if they look at that. All right. So the referees are not the reason Iowa's down 10-0, but I'll say this. Be happy they're down 10-0, folks, because this could be a lot worse. The Iowa offense, you take away the first drive. Well, the second drive, I should say. The first drive, they got 1 first down. You take away those first 2 drives. Iowa's done absolutely nothing. Really good Penn State defense. We understand that. But how do you climb out of a 10-0 hole? Well, I'll tell you how, folks. I'll tell you how. And I think everybody knows this. You climb out of a 10-0 hole with a play like they got in 2009 with Adrian Claiborne blocking the punt and returning it for a touchdown. Does Ontario Thompson or Jackson Rexroth or one of those guys on punt block duty, do one of those guys cash in on one in the second half? That's a lot to ask for. Very hard to pull off. Adrian Claiborne did it 14 years ago, but that's what Iowa needs in this game. Cade McNamara, 5 of 13, 42 yards, has had very little time, really good front 7 for Penn State. I think based on what I've seen, again, I'm no O-line guru. Mason Richmond has struggled in pass pro today. Really good pass rush on Cade McNamara. He's taken a beating. Iowa's not been able to run the ball. There's no surprise there. They've not gotten the ball to their receivers. No surprise there. 1 catch for Iowa wide receivers for 4 yards. That's Nico Reganey. 1 catch for 4 yards. And don't give me a hard time about mispronouncing his last time. I don't care right now. 1 catch for 4 yards. Iowa for the half, 2 first downs. Like I said, one of them was on the first drive, one of them on the second drive. That's it. 1 of 6 on third down. Man, and I tell you, Penn State, I give Iowa's defense credit. I talked about critical downs. Penn State's just 2 of 10 on third down. The problem is they're 3 of 3 on fourth. So there you go. Just 100 passing yards for Penn State, 42 for Iowa, 62 rush yards for Penn State, 21 for Iowa. This is exactly the game I expected, folks. Exactly the game I expected, minus the mistakes. And I made my prediction. I came out with my prediction yesterday. If anybody caught that, I predicted 16-10 Penn State over Iowa. I said my 3 big keys were win the battle of discipline. They have not done that whatsoever. That's penalties and turnovers. They have not done that. I guess penalties, you could say they've won. They've had 1 penalty for 5 yards, but the 2 turnovers are huge. That trumps the slight edge in penalties. And then what were my other 2 keys? Get to Drew Aller. They've not been able to do that consistently. He's had a lot more time than Cade McNamara has had. And come up with a big play. They've not yet been able to do that. They've been close. Maybe the fumble that was blown dead should have been a big play, but it wasn't. And it is what it is. Jared, thank you for the super sticker, super chat, super thanks, whatever it is. And folks, these, just so everybody's aware, these halftime little blurbs, these are totally spontaneous. This is not something I plan on doing each and every week. I'll be quite frank. They don't bring in any sort of revenue. Not that that's the only reason I do this, but it is a business. I just wanted to kind of voice off and voice my frustration. I'm watching with people, but incredibly frustrated first half. If you're feeling frustrated, believe me, you're not alone. If you're frustrated with the officials, that's okay. You should be. All right. They're not the reason I was losing this game, but they certainly have not helped. Penn State gets the ball to start the second half. I'll be live with you following the game, folks, for Iowa postgame with Coach Don Patterson. One more, Bryce. Thank you for the super chat. He says Iowa wins 14-10 with 4 field goals and a safety. Got to be able to move the ball, Bryce. They've lost the field position battle ever since that fumble. Boy, those turnovers just double whammies. You take points off the board and you potentially flip the field, and the defense hasn't gotten enough rest on the sidelines. I will be back with you folks following the game. Iowa postgame with Coach Don Patterson. Tune in right here from the Hawkeye of the Storm following the game. Hopefully we're talking about a win. I'll be here regardless, taking your calls, taking your chats, talking with Don live after the game.